What up, Beyblazers? Welcome to my brand new second channel, Skyblazer Beyblades. In case you don't know me, I am Skyblazer. I have another YouTube channel by the name of Skyblazer where I post a little more video essay content. I really enjoy Beyblades, so I decided to get into making videos about it because I bought a tripod and I said, well, I can start using it for tournaments as well as other YouTube videos. So I recorded a few tournaments so far. I've recorded 2 tournaments so far since buying the tripod. So today we're going to be talking about my Trailside Hobby Tournament. To get into the deck of what I'm running, we're going to talk about this deck really briefly. In my number 1 slot was Shark Scale on 960 Freeball. This is a stationary attack Beyblade. It is a pretty heavy hitter, but also meant to kind of maintain control of the stage. It's one of my favorite combos, and I've been using it recently in some tournaments. My second combo is Cobalt Dragoon on 560 Elevate. Cobalt Dragoon is a spin equalizer for this. It's done me pretty well in the past, so I decided why not give it a whirl again. And I had just gotten the black and red combo from the Painted Blade random booster. And my third and final combo is going to be Phoenix Wing on 160 Kick. I'm trying out a different combo because I've enjoyed using Kick a lot recently on bays, specifically Hover Wyvern, so I decided I'd give it a go on Phoenix. This tournament is a 3v3, first to 5 points wins, a Swiss of 6. The second stage is going to be single elimination, first to 4, best 2 of 3. Before we get into the tournaments, for the newer viewers, we need to show how points work. There are 4 ways to earn points in Beyblade X. The first way is a spin finish, meaning one Beyblade outspins the other. The second way is the over finish. When one opponent goes into one of the corner pockets, the other person gets 2 points. A burst finish, when you burst your opponent, you get 2 points. And yes, they're meant to come apart. And when you get an extreme finish, which is that large pocket in the center stadium, you get 3 points. And those are the main ways of getting points. Sometimes you can get penalty points, like if you hit the top of the shroud while you're going into when you're launching into battle. That can be a warning and then a point to your opponent. This tournament took place at Trailside Hobbies and Games Trailside Games and Hobbies on May 9th of 2026. The title is the Buster Cup, and the prize is the black and green Dran Buster, and the Swiss prize is the cyan and white and green Dran Buster from the Shibuya Dran Busters. Now it is time to get into the actual tournament chunk of the actual video. My opponent for this first round is going to be Not Disciple. And I almost knocked my opponent into the over finish, and unfortunately he hops out. That's 1 point to me though. It is Cobalt Dragoon versus Wizard Rod next, and I knock Wizard Rod into the pocket, but it bounces back out, and then I speed it up because it's a little bit slow, and comes down to his final spin finish, and somehow the judge calls this a redo. I think I barely got him, but the judge calls what the judge calls, so it's a redo. After a little bit of messing around, we finish up with unfortunate loss from my spin finish. So the score is now 1-1. Going on to the last round of the rotations. It's Phoenix versus Silver Wolf, and Phoenix gets an extreme finish, making the score 4-1. And then it's Shark Scale versus Shark Scale. His, I believe, is on 450 Low Orb. So he was running an entire stamina deck, but my Shark looks to just overpower it. You can see his start to lose some spin, while mine is pretty strong in comparison. And with a score of 5-1, I take round 1. Up next is my matchup against Token G. He gets an immediate KO, and I lose, he gets a 2-point lead. My Phoenix knocks his Wizard Rod into the pocket, but he escapes. And I end up getting the spin, so it's now 1-2. And then the final round is his arrow versus my Dragoon. And as you see, my Dragoon latches onto that extreme line, over extreme finishes myself. 5-1. So a loss, and the record is now 1-1. My opponent for this next match, the opponent is VX Score. And I think I lead with my Phoenix against his rod. I throw the rod around a little bit, but I don't get the contact that I need. So I end up losing the first round with the spin finish. And go 0-1. So that's really unfortunate for me. The next round is going to be my Shark Scale versus his Shark Scale, and it's a spin finish for me. I have them, as long as I stay in the stamina, it's an easy spin finish. Or in the stadium, I should get an easy spin finish, and I thankfully do. And so it is an easy. It's now tied up 1-1, and then I have Cobalt Dragoon versus his Hover Wyvern. Great, get a great stall, knock Hover Wyvern around a little bit. I sped it up just because it took a little too long with the spin finish. And Cobalt Dragoon takes the spin finish against Hover Wyvern. Almost barely lost, but took it out. It's now 2-1. We lead with my Shark Scale against his Hover Wyvern. Playing a little nervous games, running around the stadium. Looking like I'm running out of stamina, but the Hover looks like it has a little bit less stamina. And what ends up happening is I take the spin finish. I believe it's now 3-1. And I got my Phoenix versus his Shark. And my Phoenix pockets itself, jumps directly into that pocket. It's now tied up 3-3. And then it's Dragoon versus Rod. And it's going to go down to a Survivor finish. I don't actually remember off the top of my head what happens here. And we're going to see in just a second. And that's going to go to me, and it's going to be 4-3 with a spin finish. And I lead my last bay. Judge calls that a redo because of the shroud. It's Shark versus Rod. And that one's a clean this time, so it's a Survivor finish. We can tell pretty quickly. So it goes down to who has the better launch power, who's just more stable. And that is actually going to go to the Shark Scale. And with a score of 5-3, I take that match. So the record for the day is now 2-1. So we're coming back. We had a big loss in round 2 against Token. He mollywopped me in that round, so we're down. We got a good comeback, 2-1, and now we're going on to round 4 against Cat on the Roof. Cat leads with his Rod, and I lead with my Phoenix. I ask for a redo right away, and thankfully I do, because my Phoenix heads right out. And then in the redo, Cat's Rod knocks my Phoenix right into the over-finish zone. And it loses me 2 points, so it's 0-2. And then it's a Shark Scale, my Shark Scale versus his Cobalt Dragoon. And unfortunately for me, a Shark Scale on free ball doesn't lead well into a Cobalt Dragoon unless I can get a burst early on, and unfortunately, I don't get that burst. So as we see here, Shark Scale scrapes, I go down 0-3. Then it's my Cobalt Dragoon up against my Clock Mirage. Normally if you can get some early contact with a Cobalt Dragoon on that, and some aggressive contact, you could probably take it, but unfortunately I didn't launch my Cobalt Dragoon as hard as I needed to. So unfortunately for me, I lose the spin finish here up against this Clock Mirage. He doesn't get destabilized enough, and I end up losing. So I'm down 0-4. Not looking good for me here. It's Shark Scale versus the Wizard Rod in the final. I got to do something good and try and come back here, but unfortunately, Shark just doesn't land the hits for me. It's not looking good. And unfortunately for me, I get defeated badly, brutally murdered, down 0-5. My record is now 2-2. If I want a slight chance of making the top cut, I have to win these next 2 rounds easily. On to round 5, though. My opponent is R3NXC. I think it's Ren XC. And we both lead with our Dragoons. I think theirs is a white Dragoon, or hers is a white Dragoon, and mine is the black Dragoon. I pull with a little more oomph, I believe, and I think I take this first round. And I go 1-0. Next, I put Phoenix in up against her Arrow Pegasus. Thankfully for Phoenix, I kind of bully that arrow a little bit, knock a lot of stamina out of it. And so I take it down. I take a spin, 2-0 now. Next up is my Shark versus her Wizard Rod. I'm a little worried about the stamina build for Wizard Rod because Shark's stamina isn't nearly as good as Wizard Rod's, especially when it's on a stamina build. I actually don't remember what happens. Let's look for a second. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm gonna lose the spin finish. So it scores 2-1 now. It goes Phoenix versus Cobalt. Unfortunately, Phoenix doesn't pair well into a Cobalt Dragoon, so if I can't get one of those big hits out right away, then unfortunately for me, Phoenix can lose, and it looks like it's going that way. So she takes the spin, so it's now tied up 2-2. Then it is Cobalt Dragoon versus the Rod. My Dragoon decides to go a little crazy on the X rails, which is not normal for Elevate. But obviously, as you see, I speed it up to just try and, get a little, to avoid the long stall of a stamina match. It's, and it goes to her with the spin finish. So it is now 2-3. I'm losing now, and it's now my Shark Scale versus her Arrow Pegasus. And her arrow uses my Shark as a ramp and causes her to extreme, giving me the win at 5-3. Now, the record is 3-2. And I'm so thankful for it because I was really worried about this. So I've got a chance. I've got to win this last round, though. And so my final opponent for the Swiss round is Germ Bucket. My first bay is Shark Scale. Germ Buckets is Phoenix Wing. And I get a pretty easy over finish, so that gives me 2-0. My Cobalt versus his Arrow. Duking it out, missing a couple pretty big extreme finishes extreme dashes from the Arrow. Helps me knock out this Arrow's stamina and take the spin and go up 3-0. Then he whips out a stationary impact combo against my Phoenix. And you'll see this, but these clashes are explosive. And my Phoenix can't keep up with the weight and the power that the impact has put behind, so I lose to a spin finish after Kick can't kick itself back up. So it is 3-1. Going into the reshuffle is Cobalt versus Arrow again. I pulled it off this first time. Can I pull it off again? These are some pretty strong hits that Arrow is ditching out, so we've got to see. Arrow didn't do really many extreme dashes this time, so it's looking like I'm losing spin, and the Arrow pulls it out, putting the score 3-2. It's then Shark versus Phoenix again. And we'll see how this goes real quick. I'd love to repeat the outcome of the first match, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I repeat the outcome, but I get at least a point taking a spin finish against his Phoenix. Which means, unfortunately for me, I have to face off his Impact. And hopefully my Phoenix can do something this time and close out the match for me. And I get some good hits in, but it uses up a lot of my stamina while keeping that Impact, and the Impact still has some spin. So it is unfortunate for me, but the score goes to 4-3. Last round is Shark Scale versus Phoenix Wing. And you can see the Phoenix escapes, but I tap it in for an over finish, and the score being the score technically being like 6-3 is actually 5-3. I take the match. My record is 4-2. Now, top cut for this tournament is the best. The top 16 out of this tournament go on, and I place 13th. So I am able to participate in top cut. My opponent is 4th place, and his name is Athen on X. So, when it comes to top cuts and specifics of the top cut rounds, we have to talk about, you're going to have 4 points, and then the round is going to reset to 0. You'll see that as the video goes on. Let's talk about it. Let's get into that match real quick. Round 1 is my Shark versus his Rod on free ball, and his Rod pockets my Shark, and I go down 0-2. Then my Cobalt Dragoon versus his Arrow. It is a fierce battle between the two, but his Arrow has destabilized me too much to the point where I'm out of juice, and he takes that, and so I'm down 0-3. It's my Phoenix versus his Shark, and I'm not getting any contact. My Phoenix is losing stamina. His Shark stays out of that way, and unfortunately for me, that I'm out of stamina, so I end up losing that round, going down 0-4, and the match resets. We switch sides. My Phoenix gets a lucky shot into the extreme, going up 3-0, and then my Shark versus his Rod. And it is a stamina battle. And Stamina Shark does what Stamina Shark does best for me and gets me that spin finish against the Rod. And I take the second set. The sets are now tied up 1-1. We're going into the third round. He's taking the stadium side again. It's my Phoenix versus his Arrow. His Arrow just jumps out of the stadium, which gives me a 3-0 lead. And then it's Cobalt Dragoon versus Wizard Rod. I make the mistake of not tightening the ratchet, and he gets a burst finish on me. So he goes down. So it's now 3-2. And it's final, the hopeful last round of the reshuffle. It's Shark versus Shark. If I can outspin this, I can win. But he knocks me into the over finish and takes the match 3-4 and 1 set to 2 sets. Unfortunately, that is the end of my run, and I think he Athen ends up placing 4th overall, which I'm glad somebody at least made it as far as he did. After beating me, I always feel a little bad. I always get a little mad if they beat me and then barely make top cut, or if it's like they beat me out of top cut and then don't even make top cut, I get a little mad. Or if they unfortunately like beat me and then don't even go there very far. Like if it was like, I would be a little mad if we were in the like top 8 round, if I had moved on and then somebody beat me and then they didn't even place top 3. I would have been mad about that. But I was pretty happy about my run for the day. I was thinking to myself, what do I need to do next? and thinking about what next for my team, because the next video we're going to talk about is the Queen City Classic Skyfall. It was one of the biggest tournaments I've ever been to. It was one of the craziest tournaments I've ever been to. If you were at that tournament or were interested in going or have like heard about it, it is one of the craziest tournaments that happened in North Carolina in a long time, and it was one of the biggest of the year so far. I think 145 players ended up turning out. But that's going to be it for this video. If you're interested, if you liked this video, please like, subscribe, comment if you've faced me in tournaments before. I'm hoping that some of the people are from the North Carolina area that are popping in, showing up for support. I'd really appreciate it if they did. And stay tuned for the next video. It's coming out pretty soon, hopefully. If you're interested in my main channel, I've got another channel, Skyblazer, as I've talked about. If you're interested in video essay topics, I made a video that I released back in the beginning of June, and I'm hopefully going to be releasing a video soon, another video essay topic. It hopefully should be out pretty soon. I just filmed it right before this video. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.